Russia is now facing severe sanctions by its Western allies after Moscow invaded Ukraine in the early hours on Thursday, in the biggest assault yet by a state since the end of the Second World War. But the Ukrainian President Zelensky says that the sanctions imposed on Russia are not enough. The European Union imposed five-pronged economic sanctions against Russia, targeting its financial, energy and transport sectors. The EU will now freeze Russian assets in the bloc and halt its banks' access to European financial markets. Targeting 70% of Russian banking markets, the sanctions also target state-owned companies, including those in the field of defense. There are also proposals adding that two private Russian banks will be sanctioned in the entities list. Russians are now prohibited from depositing more than $1.12 million in EU banks. Europe has imposed measures that will increase Russia's borrowing costs and raise inflation and gradually erode Russian industrial base. That, of course, is the aim of these sanctions. Meanwhile, the EU has banned the sale of aircraft spare parts to Russian airlines, thus degrading one of Russia's key sectors and connectivity. It has also thereby limited Russian access to crucial technology and suspended all Russian diplomatic visas.
Have maximum impact on the Russian economy and the political elite, and it is built of five pillars. The first is the financial sector, second the energy sector, the third is the transport sector, fourth are export controls and the ban of export financing, and finally, visa policy. Let me highlight some of the most important points.
The European Union has decided to hold off from cutting Moscow off from SWIFT, that is the global interbank payment system, although the United States and its allies have confirmed that they are not taking SWIFT sanctions off the table, as Britain and others call for imposing additional sanctions. Meanwhile, the French President Emmanuel Macron batted for keeping dialogue open with the Kremlin. At the EU summit on Friday, Macron said that while sanctions remained useful, adding that France will be rolling out additional sanctions, it remains to be seen how useful they are. Macron was the only Western leader to speak to Putin after Russia invaded its pro-West neighbor.
Et ensuite, tout en condamnant, tout en sanctionnant, tout en continuant à décider, agir, de laisser ce chemin ouvert pour que le jour où les conditions pourront être remplies, nous puissions obtenir une cessation des hostilités pour les Ukrainiennes et pour les Ukrainiens.
Meanwhile, Berlin has put the Nord Stream 2 pipeline certification on ice. Remember, this crucial pipeline project is already complete and runs from Russia to Germany and was awaiting some kind of regulatory approval by the EU and German authorities before Russian aggression against Ukraine. The US had earlier imposed sanctions against the company in charge of building the gas pipeline. Canada, too, later announced sanctions against the Kremlin, calling Putin's move barbaric. The Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced sanctions against 62 individuals and entities targeting major banks and members of the government. Canada also cancelled all export permits following Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Russia must immediately cease all hostile actions against Ukraine and withdraw all military and proxy forces from the country. Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity must be respected, and the Ukrainian people, like all people, must be free to determine their own future.
WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.